Well, and I wanted to start this conference with the story about the power of stories, but just some um, weeks ago, a wonderful girl named Inna wrote to me, and I decided to start with her speech because she, in real life, this story made it possible for people one small location started to write their own story that is so much better than what they had before they started this project. Ina, please, the floor is yours. And I believe this will be the wonderful start of our conference. While we are waiting for Ina to join us, I want to remind you that we have wonderful speakers today. Part of them will be in the morning session and the other in the evening session. And also we have a kind of a surprise. We have a plan to have some short Zoom meetings at the end of the day. And if you want to join them, we will be happy to see you here. Well, I've joined you finally. I'm happy to welcome you here. Good morning to everyone who joined here online. I'm happy to open this day. And I really like this idea of using the stories. And in my field, it's very important. I work in the field of social and cultural projects, and stories are with the new perspective for us. And I would be really happy to share our story. This is the story that became kind of a classical case for us. Many people know about it in our field. I will show my presentation. Well, let's remember that let's give a kind of applause to the speaker. Let's press the fire button because we cannot applaud. So let's give some fires to make this warm welcome really warm. Well, I'll be talking today about the possibilities that the creators, the authors have, how through stories, through narration, we can change the perspective for local communities. Well, I'll begin with a short introduction. I'm part of the community who work with different local territories in order to develop them socially and culturally, and we are studying what we can use as an impulse for the new era for some local territories, and we look at the possibilities for the people, for locals, to get more connected. Today, I'll be talking about several projects, and I'll show you lots of pictures. Here you see a location in the central Russia. It's about 200 kilometers from Moscow. I believe many people from Russia know it. This is the river called Ugra. The story began 20 years ago. Here is a specially protected territory, natural reserve of river Ugra. In 15th century, there was a very important battle, fight that actually made it possible to lift the yoke of Mongola Tatars. And in the 21st century, it became the place for this large art installation. The territory we are talking about in the former USSR was quite important because here several, about 10 villages were situated, where those villages were active in farming and so on, but they became abandoned in the modern Russia. And this is why there were several attempts to try and rethink the whole territory. And the special art festival was launched here that unites different creators, different artists. This is the largest landscape park of modern art and of different landscape designs. So this place is called Nikola Lenivets, but our story today will be not about this place because Nikola Lenivets was already very influential place in the beginning of the year 2000, but there were some villages that were not that popular. We were situated around Nikola Lenivets, and you see how some villages, especially the village called Zvizzhi, was looked like. It was very abandoned. It was in a very bad state. But the investor came who was interested in developing the territory because this art space of Nikola Lenivets was so huge, was so important. And the investor was asking for some projects, some ideas, some initiatives. So the question was how to create something interesting out of the local villages. For example, village called Zvizzhi. How uh, we can show that the villages around are also unique. At the beginning of the project, in the village Zvizzhi, there were 100, maybe 150 people living there. Not so many, but quite enough for a new project. So our team, we were the producers of several projects on the territory. So we will ask how we can rebuild and rethink the territory around. What are the possibilities for such villages? So we started large project called Art Residences. We were thinking that many people from around the world would come there in order to see the place, to maybe find something interesting and give inspiration to locals. And with those new perspectives, locals would also see that their place, their village is unique. Our very first event, um, we were trying to advertise it. We were asking everyone from locals to tea. And we were waiting for people to come, but nobody came. We were actually asking locals, we were doing some ads that come to tea, we'll have some cakes and so on, we'll discuss the future of your village. Well, nobody came. Our next step, we asked several artists to come to us. Actually, two artists came to us. One of the artists was from Holland. So two artists came to our art residence, but still we had no real dialogue with the locals. We were trying to understand how people could be engaged, how they can become a part of this art community. So for us, uh, it was very important to try and communicate with them. And our artists that we invited from Holland, she just said that, okay, let's come together at the local cafe. It's a very small cafe, and let's not talk about future. So we just decided to share experience. And our invited artist, Vaka, she was just telling how the life goes on in her village in Holland, and people started sharing stories. What came next? Vaka asked all the locals, what's interesting going on here in the village? And the locals were just saying, well, nothing, but it's something regular. And Waka just took the camera, and she was interested in how people were living, what they were doing. I would also like to underline that Waka was very, not only she was very interested, but she was able to see how inventive are locals. So when locals said that there is nothing interesting in their life, she proved them to be wrong. As she went to almost every house and then saw how many talents those locals had. And some were gardening, others were working with wood, with mushrooms. This was the initial communication that also helped locals to understand that they are quite unique. We also, through those photos, we we had kind of proofs to show to the locals that they are actually very unique. Waka lived in the village for several months, but for the winter she was going to leave the village, and she just, as a kind of a goodbye, she said to locals that I'm very interested to know how you live during the winter. So I will leave my camera here in the village. Please make photos of the most important events in your life. And then she came back. She had the whole collection of kind of a photo diaries. And then she is an artist, compiled the postcards about the village Zvizzhi. Those postcards are little narrations of the life of the village, and these postcards still can be bought in the local shop. Every visitor of the village can buy a postcard, can write a short story or some greetings at this postcard and send to the relatives, to friends. So this whole project launched the revival, the new era for the village. For example, it also really influenced the local school. There were only about 14 pupils at this local school, and there were even some discussions that probably this school should be closed. There are too many pupils at this school, but surely it would negatively influence the local community. And our artist decided that probably the school garden shall be of some interest to the local community and to the school. So this is why we asked the Holland company to work with pupils on this garden, and not just to work with pupils in this garden, but to have some workshops on some modern agricultural technologies, um, to talk on some trends in agriculture. I remember how representative of the company uh, was holding the lettuce or some kind of a salad, and was showing that this salad actually shows the tempo, the high tempo of life in the city, because you just with one movement you can make the whole dish. You can just um, disconnect the leaves of the salad and you have a whole plate of a salad. And for some pupils, this was a kind of a revelation. All those workshops with the agricultural company, because many pupils decided that they were going to study agriculture, biology, and so on. We also had the real practice. They started to learn more about the selection. First, only children worked at this local school garden, but here you see, uh, by the August, the garden is no longer abandoned. It has some new types of salads. Also, parents joined the children, and for locals, what was really something to be proud of. So when in August in Nikola Lenivets, there was this huge art festival, the locals participated at the local market with their produce, and actually everybody was coming to this stall of this village, because there were so many types of salads. Even some citizens of Moscow were surprised to see so many different varieties. Everyone was curious. Another part of work consisted of the attempts to answer the questions, what kind of landscapes do we live in? Or what are the geological stories of the uh, local place? So the whole series of works was launched. This were the works with experts in geology, and this expert was talking about the rocks, the formation of the landscape. This geological story was indeed very interesting to everyone. And this was a story covering about 6,000 years. It was then, this story was then visualized, and this was a story told in animation. I will try to show you the short video. So the modern village Zvizzhi. All those stories about rocks, about the different geology of the landscape, they led to many, many new interests for the community. Clay was discovered as an old new material and resource for the creation. This is how the ceramics from Zvizzhi was launched. You see the new products of the local shop. The professional experts in ceramics joined the locals to teach them how to work with ceramics. And now you can find this ceramics at the website This is actually the internationalvillageshop.net, and this was a totally new produce for the village, but started with those geological stories. The collected stories made the qualitative change in the lives of the locals. The project with ceramics was launched jointly with one of the artists from uh, Germany. She was a part of the My Villages project. After all these different projects, the whole shop was opened here, and at this shop, not only the products from Zvizzhi are sold, but also products from other villages in Germany, in Holland. We have a very particular window display here. Every citizen would have a small uh, part of it dedicated only to this particular citizen, and the citizen could write a phone number or email, and everybody could write or somehow communicate with the person who produced this particular postcard or something else. This was kind of a showroom. We also had a special exhibition made dedicated to the local masters. And here I would like to show you the video, because our artists, our local masters, they created the video where we see how local citizens, they actually tell the stories of other villages, um, even the villages from other countries.
Эта ложка сделана в Южной Германии. Есть такая деревенька Хофман. Эта ложка предназначена для того, чтобы ей накладывать масло, так как эта деревня, вокруг деревни много болот, озер, там много лягушек. Поэтому на ложке есть вот такая лягушачья лапка. Когда в деревне праздники, то люди берут хлеб, накладывают масло. Этой стороной можно масло размазывать, и для красоты делают отпечатки лягушачьей лапки. Получаете такие красивые бутерброды. Такую ложку вы можете приобрести в сельском магазине, международном магазине деревни Zvizzhi, который называется Маден Zvizzhi. Вот такую ложечку можно приобрести.
So you could see from this video how the locals actually show the products of our creators, of our talented masters from other villages. So this international shop actually united people, and this exhibition of International Rural Store also united people from around the world. And this exhibition was shown also in Italy, in Germany, in Great Britain, telling the common story of different villages. So to sum up, I would like to say that those stories, they helped to rethink Zvizzhi. Now we see those postcards, we see different entrepreneurs come into the village. We see how the locals got interested in craftsmanship. They make rugs, they work in patchwork, they produce ceramics. But it was all launched with stories, and through the stories. Because Through this communication, locals, let's say, shaped the new reality for their village. They found their own identification through those stories. They identified themselves with their um, region, and the stories and the exchange of stories, they created empathy, they created trust, and they also made it possible to build the common space for all the villagers. And this became the firm base for the development of the village. And I want to invite you all to Nikola Linevets, to Zvizzhi, uh, to try nice local products uh, and just enjoy the nice communication. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a wonderful conference with lots of inspiration. Thank you very much. Wonderful story. I already see how you helped those people to write their own story that they would like. Let's give some fires to Ina at the very beginning, because such projects, such stories, they inspire, they give us hope that we can all build our own story. Ina, your project actually shows a very nice idea, but people um, can do something special, even if they don't see that they are doing something special. And through such things, we can build bridges. And if there's one more meaning that you can transmit with your actions and stories, what meaning would it be to build bridges? One, just one. Let's not be indifferent to the talents and the best qualities in other people, because this type of curiosity towards the talents of other people, this is the fundament for the interpersonal trust, interpersonal bridges, because the bigger bridges, they are actually built through those small interpersonal bridges. Thank you very much. It's Your story gave me so much warmth